Steven Koecher was 30 years old, and in 2009, he still looked, at least on the surface, like a man trying to hold his life together. He had served as a Mormon missionary in Brazil, spoke Portuguese, studied communications, and had worked in journalism and advertising sales. He was not known as violent, unstable, or addicted, just a quiet, educated man under growing financial pressure. He was living in St. George, Utah, and struggling after losing a steady job. To stay afloat, he had been doing temporary work like window cleaning and maintenance. He had fallen behind on rent, his roommate had moved out, and the pressure was building. At one point, his landlord had trouble reaching him and ended up contacting his parents, which exposed something Steven had not fully shared. His situation was worse than he had been admitting. Even then, nothing suggested he was about to vanish. He was still going to church, still talking normally with people, still moving through life like someone trying to recover, not disappear. That matters, because just a couple of weeks earlier, around Thanksgiving, Steven had spent time with his family, helped with Christmas decorations, and given no sign that he was saying goodbye. In fact, people in his church community were even discussing possible job opportunities for him in early 2010. His life was unstable, but it still seemed to be moving forward. Then, in the days before he disappeared, his movements became harder to explain. On December 9, 2009, Steven drove to Ruby Valley, Nevada, where the family of an ex-girlfriend lived. She was not there, but he had lunch with her relatives and mentioned that he might be heading to Sacramento, California. Later, that comment would stand out because no clear reason for such a trip ever emerged. The next day, he spoke with his mother. By her account, he sounded normal, even upbeat. They talked about Christmas, and she deposited money to help him catch up on rent. Money he never used. On December 12th, his phone placed him near Overton, Nevada, and later in Mesquite. That night, near St. George, he bought gas, snacks, a baby bib, and Christmas decorations, items that would later be found in his abandoned car. The purchases felt ordinary, almost domestic, not like the last errands of someone preparing to disappear. By the morning of Sunday, December 13th, he was still speaking normally to people from his church. In 2 calls, Steven said he was in Las Vegas and might not make it back in time for church responsibilities that day, though he even suggested he could turn around if needed. No one said he sounded confused, frightened, or desperate. Then came the moment the whole case seems to collapse into. At 11:54 a.m., a security camera recorded Steven's Chevrolet Cavalier entering a cul-de-sac on a residential street in Henderson, Nevada. It was not an obvious place for him to be. Minutes later, another camera showed a man believed to be Steven getting out of the car and walking away. Some think he may have been carrying something under his arm, maybe a folder or portfolio, but what mattered most was the way he moved. He did not look lost or aimless. He looked like someone heading toward something specific. He walked out of frame and was never seen again. After that, things only got stranger. For several hours, his phone still showed activity. Public reconstructions suggest the device moved through areas away from where the car had been left, and at some point someone accessed his voicemail. Then the phone went silent. That detail opens 2 uncomfortable possibilities. Either Steven kept moving after he left the camera, or someone else had access to his phone. Meanwhile, his car remained parked in the neighborhood. Days later, the homeowners association noticed it had been sitting there too long. Inside, they found a brochure connected to Steven's temporary work, and that led investigators to his employer and then to his family. His disappearance was officially reported on December 17th. When police and family looked closer, the picture became even stranger. Inside the car were the recent purchases and personal belongings. Back at his apartment, other important things were still there too. His guitar, his laptop, his phone charger, and more of the ordinary objects of daily life. It did not look like the clean setup of someone starting a new life. It looked more like he had stepped away to handle something brief and never came back. Search efforts were intense. His family checked hospitals, jails, shelters, restaurants, and morgues. Police and volunteers searched the neighborhood, used helicopters, dogs, and off-road vehicles, but found nothing conclusive, no physical trail that explained why Steven had gone there in the first place. Over time, some theories weakened. There were no meaningful bank movements pointing to a carefully planned new life, no solid evidence that he had left the country. His passport was still among his belongings. The more those things were checked, the weaker the theory of a clean voluntary disappearance became. That left behind a harder possibility. Steven had been under financial pressure. In the days before he vanished, he had made unusual drives and given vague explanations. Then he ended up in a neighborhood where he had no clear public reason to be and walked away as if he expected to meet something or someone. There is no proof of what happened next, but to many people, that possibility still fits the shape of the case better than anything else, and that is why the case still feels so disturbing. Steven Koecher did not look like a man drifting aimlessly out of his life. He looked like a man who left his car to handle one specific thing and never came back. 15 years later, the mystery still lives inside that tiny window of time, between the moment he walked out of view and the moment his phone finally went silent. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate your support with a like and a subscription. I upload videos frequently, covering mysterious and disturbing cases like this, and there are many more coming. So,